And we're back. After a short break. We're now doing break. Hello, welcome, listener, viewer, to the Fallthrough After Show, also known as Break. Fallthrough Break. I still love that name. I love the names that we have. The names we have are great.
I think they're great.
They're absolutely fantastic. But yeah, that was a fun episode. I'm learning. I completely forgot that I should not do intros in the beginning of episodes, because that episode was not about what that intro I said was going to be about. So
yeah, you can fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post, or I'll just leave it in for posterity and just give a little note in my post-production intro to be like, hey, I said that this episode is going to be about something in the intro, and it's not about that thing.
And we went in a different direction. Sorry.
Yeah. Which I know we talked about this in the meta episode we did about how we make the show, where it's just like we just talk about stuff and then I cut a story out of it at the end of the day. And well, I got a little ambitious in thinking that we would be able to stay on the topic I thought we were going to be on, but it turned out there was a much more interesting topic to talk about. So
yeah, I mean, there's only so much preparation you can do before an episode, and you can have an idea and a storyline of what you want to do, but the day of, maybe you're talking about something different, and that's okay. You got to leave room for that.
I also think this was a much more interesting conversation because it related AI back into the real world a bit. Yeah. So I think that's what people need a bit of right now, is just a reminder that like, hey, this stuff is connected to everything else that's been happening in the world for a long time. Like, because I think that's like when I talk to people who don't really understand any of the stuff, there is a real deep fear of AI. Like they think that like tomorrow their job's going to be gone or the world's going to collapse. And I'm like, this is not that type of technology. Like, I don't know if that type of technology exists at all, but this is certainly not that.
That's why I brought up like my conversation with my neighbor. Like I was at my grandma's 94th birthday party, and we were backyard barbecuing, pool, whatever. And I got a lot of we were playing a trivia game, which is really funny. Like we were just chilling playing trivia, and I was getting a lot of the answers even before they finished the question. So the running joke of the day night was "fuck you, Matt," because every time I like say the answer, like "fuck you, Matt, get out of here." It was hilarious. So, but then since I'm in technology, I get I had to fix someone's router, which is funny because I don't want to do that, but it's fine. But they were asking me like, hey Matt, like AI, what's up? I'm a workers' compensation worker, essentially, where they like work on claims for workers' comp, right? Where you verify whether the claim is true and how much aid and blah blah blah, whatever. And they were like, is AI gonna replace my job? Because people are starting to say like, oh, the computer is gonna do this. Like if what's my job going to be if the computer can just approve or deny claims and like work with these people and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, your job is to bring the human aspect of it, because that artificial selection has been around before you had this job. Like insurance companies and any company that has to like cover you or claim or pay out some claim has already had some sort of AI or machine learning behind the scenes, like we were talking about with fraud, to deal with that stuff. It's not new. And so I explained to her like all of that sort of context and was like, listen, you smoke, you do this, you do that, all that goes on your record, and they deny you or approve you for life insurance. Like, you think that my rate for life insurance and your rate for life insurance are the same? No, they're different for all of these factors. And that's automatically handled on the back end. And I had a really nice conversation, but that conversation with someone who's not even in tech at all, who is concerned about AI taking their job, and that who just the fact that they know about AI enough to like question it, shows just how pervasive AI has become in all of our lives.
Yeah. And like, it reminds me of the whole, like, there's a story that's been blowing up recently about how Delta is now doing like AI driven pricing for you as an individual. And people are like, this is terrible. And I'm like, there are many things that are priced for you individually. You're just not used to it being so prevalent. And insurance is one of the biggest ones. Where like, yeah, the price you pay for insurance is very much determined based on what you are willing to pay for something. And it's like, is it great that, airlines are going to start doing this? No. But like, this is also probably like a we as a society, this is why multimodal transportation is so important and why you should be able to choose, like, I want to fly, or I want to take a train, or I want to drive, right? Because, like, you know, the fact that these companies are going to be able to start doing this and will start doing this is, like, you know, not great, but it kind of shows the weakness of the systems that we currently have. Although also I think the problem they're going to run into is the same problem that realtors have started running into, or landlords have started running into, where they're basically using AI systems, or like software systems in general, to do price colluding, and the government is like, you can't do it. And just because you're doing it through like a third-party company and their like AI systems or whatever doesn't make it any more illegal. Right, like this is the thing that like some very big landlords were doing, where they would just put all of their data into the system, and then they'd get price suggestions out. And it just so happened that everybody was using the same company to do this, so then all of the prices were basically being included together, which is effectively what this company that's behind Delta's AI ticket pricing thing also wants to do. They want to work with all of the airlines, and it's like, that's going to get you some antitrust investigations that you will definitely lose. So like, on the one hand, it's like awful that they're doing this. On the other hand, it's probably not going to last that long, or they're not going to do it to such a severe degree that the government will start looking at them because they don't want that. But also it exposes some other underlying issues at play here. But, you know, the nature of air travel has shifted so much in recent years because of COVID mostly, that they gotta do something, right? Like the bread and butter used to be business travel for that, because people were just like flying all over the place and used to make them so much money. And now people don't do that. And they're like, well, all of these people that are booking flights 6 months out are just gonna wait till they get a good price. So we can't survive just on that.
It's funny that like the personalized pricing is such a big area of concern. And don't get me wrong, it does sound bad. Again, there's that peeking behind the curtain aspect to it now. Now that we can see the algorithm a little bit more, we're like, wait a minute, that's bad. It's like, well, it's been bad. it's been bad. You just didn't know. But in the case of like personalized pricing, we do it all the time. Everybody does it. Kris, and you and I spoke about it in the term of language and culture and whatnot. If I go into like my Spanish store and I order in English, I can get one price. And if I order in Spanish, I can get another price.
Right.
You know, or if someone comes up to the chocolate shop, I've done this. Someone came up to the chocolate shop and they were like $1 or $2 short on something. I'm like, just that's fine. Just give me what you got. That's fine. And I'll eat the cost of that. That's personalized pricing. You know what I mean? And it really is, even though it's more on the lines of like giving someone a break and being like kind, it is a personal price. Sorry, Steve, I see that you have something to say, so I want to let you say
I get in a weird spot about all this, because I'm just like, what do you think markets are? And so like on one hand, like I agree with you that like this is.
Are we about to fight? Are we fighting?
No, not at all. No, not fighting with you. Fighting with like, it's like sometimes people who get like upset about things, I'm like, I agree with you being upset, but you're like upset for the wrong reasons or in the wrong way. And so then like, you know, I'm an annoying, insufferable little nerd about it. And so like and this sort of thing ends up, I think, sort of the same kind of way as like, I've had like conversations where I like walk someone through the first 3 chapters of Capital, for example, and they're like, yeah, I agree with all that. And I'm like, cool. So like, you also agree that like capitalism's bad? And they're like, wait, no, hold on, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, we just walked through like all these steps and you saw this is like bad. And so you're saying it's bad, but now you're like, no. And so this being upset about personalized pricing, it's like, that's what a market is like attempting to find the efficient price point for the people in that market. And so like, I agree with you, there's downsides. And markets are bad sometimes. And people are like, hold on, wait, I'm not saying markets are bad actually. And I'm like, well, but you are though, because that's like what this is like fundamentally about. Like customer, like we talked about this we talked about this, but like this is known in like a more coarse way as like customer segmentation. Like to go back to the airlines, like one of the things that's happened since COVID is that there's been an increasing amount of segmentation in fare classes. And that's like because like it used to be before the big deregulation in the 90s, 80s. I don't know. I was
Reagan, I think that.
Yeah. So like there used to basically be like 2 kinds of tickets, and that was like it. And the prices were set by the government. And then all of a sudden, once we like deregulated that, now they're like, they're like post-COVID, Delta in particular, for example, has added like 3 different new fare classes, and that's because they're really attempting to like segment the customers, because most people just want whatever the cheapest possible thing is, and they don't care about any benefits, since they realize like if they can offer like an even worse than regular tier, like effectively, if you think about like, for context for listeners who don't know me very well, I have 800,000 miles on Delta. So like this is like a thing that I in particular care way too much about, because I was pre-COVID super traveler and now I'm not anymore. And so like back then there was kind of like, there used to be like first class and sometimes business class, and then like comfort plus, and then main cabin, and that was it on Delta. Right. And now there's like basic cabin and like basic cabin plus, and then like comfort plus, and then whatever else. And the reason they're doing that is because like most people just pick the cheapest possible ticket, because that's just the way that it's gone, and they realize they can like sell more space on planes if they offer a like even crappier than basic fare ticket, because that's what people actually want. But they can't lose like the amount of money that they pay off of the people who like travel regularly and need those features or comfort things. And so they also don't want to like drop ticket prices all entirely. So what do? You create a new class of ticket to capture that segment of the market. And this is just personalized pricing, but on a like far more granular scale. Like It's like you were one of these 4 or 5 kinds of people, not like individual person. And that's like why those changes have been happening. And so it ends up being like isomorphic to the same problem. And so like on some level, like I agree that it sucks. But on another level, like that's like kind of just like what markets are, and that's why they're not necessarily the best way to price every single possible thing, basically. Right. And that's like the conclusion that like you jump to that, and then people are like, "Wait, hold on, that's not what I mean." And it's like, "But do you though?" Like, because I think you do actually, and like that's the harder part of that stuff. So
I think
that's why I was making faces, Matthew. It's not to argue with you, but it's because I'm just being a smug Marxist.
No, it's fine. I like chatting about this stuff because it's correct. Right, it is correct that we don't all pay the same for everything that we go buy. I mean, granted, like if we all go to the movies together at the same movie theater, we're paying the same price. That's just the price of admission. But like in other general things in life, we are not paying the same thing. When we book flights, you and I, Steve, we could travel to the same conference tomorrow from the same airports, use the same hotels, and we will get different fares.
Yeah.
Right? We will get different hotel rates. We'll get different Uber rides to and from the airport. And you might spend $2,300. I might spend $2,250 or whatever it might be. Like it will be different. And it's just like, we don't talk about it though. The same way we don't talk about salary or compensation. The same way we don't talk about any of these things that have to do with money, because we all assume that like maybe under the hood, we're all assuming that we're getting the good deal. And I don't want to show my cards.
There's some of that. I think also what plays into this is there was a societal shift that we underwent at some point. I don't know when I want to locate this specifically, but the way I've heard this talked about before is like Bill Gates and you drink the same Coca-Cola. Like in the like time of kings, the king would have access to goods and items that you as a regular person just would not have access to, period. Like there was just stuff that you couldn't get unless you were a crazy rich person. And like, you can still make that as an argument sort of like, okay, I can't just go buy a yacht because that's expensive or whatever. But like for many consumer goods, like I have the same iPhone that Elon Musk probably has. He doesn't have a secret rich person iPhone that I'm aware of anyway. And like, there's so many classes of goods in which like the normal person has full access to the best in class thing of the thing, because everything has gotten like so much cheaper that like we kind of assumed this egalitarianism now about many sort of things about like buying stuff, because like it's the best one and everyone has that one. And so I could just do, like the whatever, like we introduced like individualized pricing on an iPhone, people would be kind of like weirded out. But like on some level, we do have 512 and 1024 gig models of iPhone or whatever. Like even those things have price segmentation for different market segments built in, and people spend different amounts on what sort of is basically the same product because they care a little bit about some different features. And this is all on a continuum of like everyone pays identical to hyper individualized pricing. Like it's a continuum and the spectrum exists in different places for different products and different market segments. And like,
And I think some of this too is path dependency again, where it's like, I don't know if you could start booking airline tickets through Uber, I don't think anybody would be surprised if they are priced specifically for you. Right, because they're like, oh yeah, in Uber or Lyft, like that price you're getting, like everybody understands that, like that's the you price. If your friend opens Uber next to you and tries to go to the same place, they are going to get a different price. If you open the app, if you close it and open it again, you will get a different price, right? Like the price is hyper individualized to you and your specific context right here, right now, in this moment. So it's not like this is a foreign concept to us. It's just that airlines didn't used to do this, and now we're like, airlines are doing this now when we're mad because of change, right? It comes down to like, this is a change and people don't like change. It's like the same thing with like Southwest now basically becoming like a regular airline with like assigned seating and stuff. And people are like, we don't like that because Southwest is blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but Southwest couldn't make money doing that. So, and they had monetary problems. So they had to change. So that's why they're doing assigned seating now. And they're doing all this other stuff. Also, like private equity.
Episode.
Oh, yes. Also, yeah. Which is, you know, I do love watching Wendover Productions. That's a good channel. If you're not watching,
I enjoy it, and I also I get a little skeptical sometimes of some things, but like whatever. But a similar thing that's really good, if you've never watched Defunct Land's 3-hour-long video on the history of Disney's Fast Pass.
Oh
like,
my god!
If this is the like resource allocation episode, like that's really like that's the thing for me. Gets into like the heart of all these kinds of issues, because like, so Disney is a really interesting and weird customer base in that they have two main segments of customers. One is which like Disney adults, and the second is like, I saved up for 10 years to take my child to Disney for their one trip for their entire life. And they like deeply care about both of those customer segments because they both like really matter for their business.
Right.
And balancing the needs of those two different kinds of customers is like an insane problem that just is like very complicated, basically. And so, it's really good.
Anybody that can make those super long video essays, like H Bomber guy as well, when he had that gigantic 4-hour-long expose on all the plagiarism on YouTube. Like, I think I watched that twice because I was just like, wait, there's so much that's in here. Like
Jenny Nicholson, like I've watched her like review a play or something for 3 hours, and like I've never even seen the play or whatever, but just like she's good at making it into a good story, and so therefore, you know.
Or the classic kind of in between here of technology connections. Like,
yeah, right.
I had some friends over once, and we were like, some of us were explaining to the others about the dishwasher videos on technology connections, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, so there's 2 videos, and they're basically like, one's like 35 minutes and one's like 45 minutes long. And I think there's another auxiliary one too. They're like, there's these long videos and they're entirely about dishwashers and how they work and why it's absolute bullshit when you like pre-rinse your dishes and all of them, why you shouldn't use tabs and why you should use like powder instead and all of this. And they're like, there's no way that I'm going to watch this video. So we literally put it on and the whole room was just like, captivated watching for the entire thing. And they're like, I can't believe I just spent 40 minutes watching a YouTube video about dishwashers. And it's like, yeah, but now you know.
Are you a United States Chemical Safety Board enjoyer or no?
No, I don't think I've...
Okay, so the USCSB is an actual governmental agency, and what they do is basically review accidents that happen in like heavy industry with like chemical related like refineries and shit, and like they make like one YouTube video every like quarter, and it's fantastic, and it feels like a parody at first, but it's an actual honest to god government organization. And unfortunately they are threatened to be defunded, and so their newest video is like, here's why we're like 50 people are doing an awesome thing. But like, I have never like wanted to watch like a retrospective on like a sulfuric acid spill at like a small Kentucky manufacturing plant and like what steps that they're going to take to like fix the OSHA regulations. Like, you wouldn't think that's like compelling television, but like I will I have a Discord role for me and my friends to like pay whenever we have like see a new USCSB video. It's like, hey folks, there's a new thing to watch, like get onto it, because it's surprisingly compelling. Basically, like they do a really good job of like, you know.
That's like the alt park National Park Service TikTok, or like the spin-offs that they've made sense, where like people just started making like TikToks for the parks that are just like, oh, this is an explicit episode, so I can say this. They're just like so horny. Like they are just so thirsty of TikToks, and they're just about the parks. So they'll like take thirst traps and they'll play them and they'll stitch them, and then they'll start like just showing you the park. Or they'll take some super thirsty song and they'll play it underneath just like you watching, like viewing the park. It's like they are amazing and hilarious. And everybody was like, awesome. What the hell is this? But like, please keep making it. And for a bit, I was on Park Talk, like watching all of those, and I was like, this is hilarious. This is glorious. I love when people do these things.
It's funny because, you know, when you watch someone like do their job, it's kind of mesmerizing to a sense when someone's making something or doing something. That's how I feel about some of these videos that you're all mentioning, because I've gotten to the same mindset of watching certain things where I'm like, wow, I never thought I'd be watching an hour-long video on a topic that I've never seen before or cared about until right now. And it's really mesmerizing. And that's where, like, to bring it back to the episode that we just had, that's I think why I find some value in AI tooling is I use it for that kind of purpose of learning, you know, diving into fields, talking. It's basically a way of talking to some of these experts that are making these videos and being like, actually, if I did have a chemical spill at this thing, what could I do? How will I die? Like what's the problem? You know, and it's just funny because you get to kind of have these extensions where, you know, previously you'd have to like kind of know somebody, and then in more modern society you can get it secondhand via some video. But now AI is kind of making it more firsthand in a sense where you can kind of talk to the person in a sense, right? I can be like, actually, treat yourself like a USCBSB personnel that is responding to this. Tell me what you're doing, you know, and you can kind of have more firsthand. And I'll put air quotes around that account.
Yeah. It's USB-C, but with the letters rearranged.
It's always an impossible to pronounce algorithm, so I just kind of say U and C and B and S and various permutations until I feel like I've said it correctly.
I guess there's an extra S in there because it's like USCSB.
USCSB. That's what it is.
Chemical safety hazards.
I think also related to AI, this is one of the things where people are like, I'm scared it's gonna like take all of our jobs. I'm like, that's because you don't know how that job works, right? Like you don't understand what goes into doing that thing. And then once you look at it and understand that, you're like, oh, there's no way that AI is going to be able to do this anytime soon, right? There's like so much nuance that goes into everybody's job, or like most people's jobs. Like even when we look at like how CEOs operate, because people are like, oh, CEOs are replaceable. I'm like, I don't think you understand how much of like a political position being a CEO is, and how much you have to like do different fiefdom trade-offs between all of the people that you're managing and what all their people want and all of that. Although also still like the whole astronomer thing, I'm still like laughing at so much because I'm just like, LOL. Like this is such a meme of like how companies work. And maybe you can automate that news job. I don't know, but like, no, that whole like if like it's like the Streisand effect. Now we have a new like we can call it now being cold played, which is absolutely beautiful. So I'm trying to explain it to people. I'm like, yeah, they Streisand effect themselves. I'm like, what does that mean? It's like if they had just done nothing, no one would have noticed. It's because they were like they tried to hide it that people are like, uh-oh, something's going on there. And it's just like, of course you're going to try and hide it because it's the most like I actually went and looked at astronomers like leadership page because I'm just like, I bet this company looks a certain way. And I was 100% right. Like their whole leadership page is just all like either white or like Asian men. And when I say Asian, I mean like Chinese or Indian, and one woman. And the one woman is the chief people officer. And of course she was having an affair with the CEO. And I'm like, this is just like I wish we had Silicon Valley because this would have been a good episode, but like this is straight out of Silicon Valley. Like
I saw one of the best posts I saw in this whole situation was a union had posted like, are you afraid that HR is cozying up to management too close? Like time to form a union with like the picture of them too. It was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, nope, the AI or the HR is definitely in. They're there to serve the company, and by serve the company we mean the CEO, in more ways than one apparently. Yeah. No, that whole situation. At first I was like, what is astronomer? And I'm like, wait, that astronomer? Like the company that actually does something useful? Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's That was kind of a funny thing. But you mentioned the CEOs being a more political job, and you're totally right. Like I've been watching more YouTube videos around like watches and whatnot, and there's Mr. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful Dude from Shark Tank.
Oh,
he's
God.
a very big watch buff, and very good videos that he does with a couple people. So I was just watching some of those. But like I found him an insufferable asshole on Shark Tank, right? I was like, you're just a dick. But then in these watch videos, I'm like, actually, you're not really a dick. You balance the line. You're an asshole and not an asshole at the same time.
But however, wait, did you finish your thought?
No, and what I want to say is like the way he speaks and talks and acts, you can see that he's not taking risks when he's on camera. Like I'm trying to phrase this in a way that's correct. Like he has like the same sort of stance. Like he holds his hands like this or whatever. He like makes these jokes and laughs, says kind of the same phrases. There's a vibe or a personality or a persona that's coming out of him that's very consistent and safe for like the camera, where you can tell that when you're in a position like that where a lot of eyes on you, you have to kind of keep that political side in mind. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is you can tell that he knows that there's eyes on him.
Yeah, but also he's like a very interesting example because like there's another I feel there's another YouTube channel. I feel like it's the same guy that like also goes after Elon Musk and SpaceX a lot. But he made this whole series of videos about how like Kevin O'Leary is just like not who he seems to be and is like not actually a billionaire and has not had many successful companies, which is like a very interesting series of videos. And I was like, oh. And also I think they did an analysis of Shark Tank and I was like, he never actually invests in anything. Like, why is this dude here?
Yeah.
It's like just like Mark Cuban, you're like, wow, Mark Cuban actually puts money into stuff and he's like a real bona fide billionaire. And then like, and he's just like this chill dude. And then on the other hand, you have like Kevin O'Leary and you're like, wow, he's really just there for the personality and for like that aspect that he adds to it, not because he's actually investing anything.
But it's interesting. Like you see that, and I don't know, it's just something I noticed. You know how like us three, we meet up, we'll talk whatever, right? We'll be ourselves, whatever. We don't have to worry about sort of the camera being on us, so to speak. I mean, yeah, on this podcast, we are recorded, so technically someone can go back and Steve, you said that they actually, and I'm mad at you now. It's like, well, great. You weren't there live. I don't want to hear it. Whatever. But it's to the being cold played thing. It's a whole different game, And you're totally right. He could have just did nothing. I had no idea who these people are. I'm like, oh, two white people holding each other. Great. Don't care about these people. Don't know what's going on. But when you make a deal out of it, it is what it is. But
yeah, it's a situation where it's like, oh, you basically told on yourself, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's so messy of a time we're living in with all of that. And
yeah, I don't think AI is going to take the jobs like people say it is. There's I guess that's the advice I would say, like coming out of this episode. Find like, I know we were talking about this episode being the evolution of AI or whatever, and we obviously know AI is not going anywhere anytime soon, but it will be changing. So my advice would just be like, find the nuance in your job, understand what your job is, understand what your product, understand what product your company's selling, understand your job, understand your role, understand that nuance, and use that to like better your future rather than being kind of quote unquote left behind. You have an option. And I think just being aware of that is something we should all be doing right now.
Yeah. I also think it should be said that it's like, it's okay if you have no interest in this AI stuff. Like, this is not a case where if you don't learn this thing, you will get left behind. That's not necessarily the case. That isn't the case. If you like it and you're interested in it, go for it. If not, okay, cool. There's always going to be plenty of jobs, plenty of things to do that will not involve AI or will involve little AI. And you won't have to like know what ChatGPT is or know how to use like Claude or any of this other stuff. And if you're a software engineer, even more so true. Like, we are not gonna all disappear tomorrow. Like, despite what Anthropic says, like we're not gonna get automated away in a year. I question whether Anthropic. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was to say, I both feel like that's like a thing that Anthropic says, but also doesn't necessarily believe, because like Claude Code is 95% written by Claude Code at this point. They're still hiring engineers. Like they're not laying people off, even though they're one of the more heavily like using AI companies in existence. So,
and also they don't allow you to use AI in their hiring process. So to some degree, it's like, oh, don't look behind the curtain, like, you know, the Wizard of Oz, all like sort of situation. Whereas like also when they're like 95% of our code is written by AI, I'm like, does that mean that it's just writing it by itself, or is it like human assisted? Like what's the nuance of that?
I think it's true, because I went to their console page, or I went to their cloud page, and I was trying to delete some chat history and some projects. You can finally delete projects, by the way, now, which is really great. The buttons have no debouncing on it. So you click the button 3 times, you'll get the request that came in for delete. And I'm like, did a human touch this? You know, I'm not trying to shit on Anthropic or anything, because I know they're moving very fast and they're trying to do a lot. But like,
also, that stat is for Claude Code specifically. Just FYI, like, there's the team that is adopted it the most heavily inside of Anthropic as well. So, like, you know, just to be clear about the number that I'm citing, that is like a Claude Code specific number, and is the most of any part of the company, in my understanding. But yes,
yeah, okay. And I'm not trying to like shit on Anthropic or anything. I'm just like, clearly you're moving fast and you're doing things, and you have to. And I think we're gonna start seeing these paper cuts and seeing some of this sort of lack of polish, and I don't know if AI is going to fix that or if humans are going to fix that, because humans are the ones seeing this polish. You know, AI, they're not spamming the button to click a delete, right? They're making one request and just going there.
I don't even hang the button. I don't do an AI request. Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly.
Similar how like Google is like, 30% of our code is written by AI, but I'm also just like, I don't know. You also use protobufs, so like, how much of your code was just code gen before? Like, how much code are you actually all writing at the end of the day versus how much is it? Or at the end of the day, you could be like, how much, like the number of assembly lines that get, you know, instructions that get created from a compiler is also massive, but we're not like, our jobs are going away because we got compilers. Although some people did say that back in the day, but we know that to be false.
Yeah.
Anyway, time to close out this episode, or this after show.
Oh yeah, sorry, I've been trying to keep it at 30 minutes, but you know.
Yeah, we don't want it to be a whole podcast. We want it to be an after show.
Yeah.
So, thank you, listener, viewer, for joining us, and thank you, Matt and Steve, for coming aboard and talking about random stuff that's somewhat related to the episode we just recorded. And yeah,
of course, AI's gonna take your job. Be very afraid. No, I'm just kidding. Goodbye, viewer.
Lord. All right. See y'all later. Bye. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Break. So what you think? Let us know on social media. This episode of Break featured Kris Brandow, Matthew Sanabria, and Steve Klabnik. Break is produced by Kris Brandow, and our beats are by Breakmaster Cylinder.